Oh, hi, I'm Rob. It's garage time.
Hey everybody, it's your old pal Rob. Welcome to the garage. Here we are, it's episode 30, part 3. So we've got a whole lot of work done. We did what I considered to be the most difficult part in episode 2, and that was bypassing the ABS. And what we're going to do in this part is finish things off. The first thing we're going to do is install the belly pan, which will involve modifying the belly pan that I bought from Ben Chavnik from Moto Consult in Mansfield, Connecticut. Then we're going to move on to building the case guards. And then we're going to finish things up, put on the number plates, put my rain tires on some RC390 wheels that fit up perfectly. They just go right on the bike. Then we're done. So let's start working. Skateboard says what?
So as mentioned, the US CRA rules require that you have a belly pan underneath the engine to catch any oil that might fall out during an accident or if you happen to explode the bottom end of the engine. So the solution for the belly pan on the Vitpilen 401 could possibly be as simple as purchasing an aftermarket lower fairing for the RC390 and mounting that to the Vitpilen 401. I did not do that. What I'm going to show you is how I mounted and modified the belly pan that I bought from Ben Chavnik so that it would fit on my particular Vitpilen 401. Fitting the belly pan. I have already widened this hole back here so it can fit around the joint from the exhaust pipe to the pre-muffler, and there's that. Because it's supposed to be attached to the chassis in 3 places, this is going to wind up being attached to the engine in 3 places. I'll use this one and its compatriot on the other side, and then right here, these two, this one and this one, these are the original mountings for the skid bar that was underneath the engine that I removed already. All right, so to add some distance below this lovely oval-shaped exhaust pipe, I have used my old brake pads as spacers. They'll give me a solid almost 1/4 inch. Put that up there, press it up there real nice. This is going to be a little better than eyeball measurement. Okay, so I made a sketch right here. Boom. They're going to be triangular, 3 1/8 tall, 2 inches wide. The vertical distance will be 2.5 to the angle, and then the horizontal distance will be 1.5. Oh, and what material are we going to make it out of? This stuff. This right here is aluminum sheet that is left over from creating the body on the 3-wheeler. See? Looks just like the sketch. Ish. Yeah. There we go. These case bolts are not super tight, so that doesn't bother me really. Up we go. Boom. What's that? This. Okay, boom. Boom, boom. All right. So that's where we're drilling right now. You want to know what's a great essential tool for doing things? Yoga blocks. Headrest and perfect height for holding this thing up while it's only on one of the belly pan mounts. As you can see right here, there's a huge gap that narrows. It angles in. What I'm going to have to do is slice slice the bottom of this thing. I've marked it right there somewhere. Yeah, I've marked it right there. I want to slice it there, leave this attached, just fold it in. The bracket that I made is going to go up here on the front, bolted to there, and then this little bit of angle that I've cut is going to wind up on here like so, and that will mount to the front. That'll mount the front of this thing. So there's my 1, 2, 3 that are required by the USCRA rulebook. Yes. And the cut makes the fold. Yeah. Yeah, that looks good. Well, the belly pin is mounted on one side. There's this number 1 rear mount, the number 2 forward mount right in there. Let's see it. We have in fact solved the right side belly pan mounting issue by the simple expedient of taking a longer bolt, a 50mm bolt, in 8.8 metric grade, same as the original bolt, and some washers and a spacer, and bolting it directly into the engine case. Very good. Yeah. So, okay, there it is. The belly pan is mounted on that side and on this side. Now I have to fiberglass it back together from where I cut it so that I could fold it in and make it the right width. I have, in fact, sanded off all the paint and gel coat from the seam that I'm going to have to fiberglass back together. As you can see, I went a little nuts with the flap disc, but flap discs do remove material pretty aggressively, so this ought to be a real laugh riot, as they say. One pint. Okay, so here we go. Here goes nothing. Looks rather dark, don't you know? Not sure if that's okay. And then 2/10 of an ounce. Ready? Here goes nothing. Yeah. There we go. Let's mix it up. Hey, from the time I mix it, I have 8 minutes to work with it, you know? Right. Get you over here. Right. Pew. It stinks. Make sure everybody's fully wet through, yeah. What I'm doing now is called stippling. Uh-oh. Is it starting to gel? Oh no, it is. Oops. Ah, man. You know what? I put in too much hardener. Oh well, let's do this. Here it is. Here it is. The belly pan has been successfully fiberglassed back together. I have to admit that this is not anything even close to resembling what might be considered a professional fiberglassing job, or even a good one. I'm gonna sand this a little bit, and then this is gonna get a squirt of gloss white paint to match that thing. Yeah. Ooh, hideous. Yeah, there we go. What do you think? Pretty bad. Pretty ugly. Hey, it could be worse. It could be so much worse. Okay, well, we're done. We have narrowed the belly pan. My $50 belly pan. My 20-cent fiberglass work. This USCRA requires that you have case guards on the bike so that if you wipe out, you don't crack the clutch cover, or crack the alternator cover, or any other cover on the side of the engine that might contain oil. Because if you wipe out and you hit the track and you crack the case cover and it barfs oil out on the track, everyone will hate you, because that will stop racing for a long time during the day while they go clean it up. For the Vitpilen, there is an aftermarket option that you could do. Woodcraft and several other companies sell manufactured case covers that you can just bolt on. Most of them are for the RC390, but the RC390 and the Vitpilen 401 have the exact same engine, so the RC390 case covers will fit. So you can go that route. I did not, because I like to fabricate things. Plus, I had a whole bunch of materials around that worked really great. First of all, I'll show you the pieces. These right here, this is going to be the bottom corner case guard for the alternator cover. And this right here is going to be the case guard for the clutch cover. And those came from the front bumper for the old XJ6 donor for the Jag Special. This is the corner for that. And so I've got these two pieces right here. They have a nice curve to them that will go in the forward direction, and it will cover the bottom nicely and plenty thick to protect the case from rubbing through. And then they're going to be mounted to the case with struts made out of this. This is some material left over from making the floors and firewall for the Jag Special. And it happens to be 90 thousandths thick 6061 T6 aluminum. I didn't bother doing any measuring and creating one of my usual sketches. Instead, I just stuck the pieces of XJ6 bumper to the engine cases with some double-sided tape. Then it was a simple matter of bending the aluminum struts to shape and drilling the attachment holes. My calibrated eye worked mint, of course. Let's shove the camera over. I'll show you what's going on here. All right. There's our clutch side case guard, double-sided tape stuck to the clutch cover. And here I've created two of the struts, the mounting struts. Here's the blank that's going to become the third one. This right here is the mount for the belly pan. We'll put that back on once we have the case guards all set up. It's very simple. This end here bolts to the case with a spacer. And then here's this end. You can't really see the spacer because it's behind the foot peg bracket. Here I've got one strut. These two are going to go over the front. This part right here is the part that would contact the track if the bike fell over. This might hit the track too, but it'll just grind away, and I can make another one. That'll be pretty simple. This strut right here is going to come up and then attach to the bottom right here. I'm not going to have to do an S-bend like this bracket and this bracket. This one's going to come straight up and then just a 90-degree bend out this way and bolt right here to the bottom. As you can see, there are two small holes drilled here, and then there are two center punches right here. And what I'm doing is I'm pilot drilling the strut and then putting a dimple on the case guard so that I'll have a place to drill the drill and tap the actual mounting hole. Yep. There we go. We were into the bumper. All right, so now I'm eyeballing the corner of this to the center of the bolt. Oops, it looks pretty close. There we go, that's even better. And once again, the measurement is 2.458. That looks about right, doesn't it? Yeah. There, good enough. Let's go put this in the vise and bend it to 90 degrees. It looks pretty good. The screws will go here and here. Center punch. Oops, there we go. Anyway, here it is. Here's the piece of Jaguar bumper. Here are the 3 mounting struts made of 90 thousandths thick, 3/4 inch wide, 6061 T6, bent to their custom shapes. Let's see if it fits. So that, and this, and in you go. Oh, look at me. I'm a bloody genius, you know. Look at that, will you? There. Look at that. That looks good. These are tapped for a 5mm 80 screw, all of them, 2, 4, 6. And these button heads will not gouge the track the way that socket heads might. Here is the alternator side case guard. All set, mounted the same way that the other one was. 3 6061 T6 straps with button head 5mm 70s. These are 4mm 70s right here, and the reason that these have to be 4mm 70s is because I didn't have enough space for 2 5mm on that strut, so they're 4mm. And last but not least, well, maybe not actually last, because the very last thing I did was put the number plates on the bike. Even though you have seen the number plates on the bike in several of the previous scenes, but here's my solution for the catch bottle, which is also required by the USCRA rules, and just like the belly pan and the case guards, is intended to keep slippery fluids from getting on the track. Here is my solution for the catch bottle. This is in fact an old brake fluid bottle that I cleaned out. It's zip tied to one of the coolant hoses. This is the dual outlet for both the radiator overflow and the fuel tank overflow. And here's the little vent tube. Right here you can see I've safety wired the cap to the chassis. That detail right there was required by Dan Coyle. Dan Coyle is the Chief Tech Inspector for the USCRA. I traded some messages with him. I told him my idea to use the brake fluid bottle, and he suggested safety wiring the cap. So this is my USCRA lead tech inspector approved overflow catch bottle for the fluid, whatever fluids might poop out on the track. Where was I? Oh yeah, okay, so the belly pin's all set, the case guards are all set. You saw my solution for the required overflow bottle. The number plates, super easy solution. I got them mounted using the simple expedient of putting some self-tapping screws through the number plate into the bodywork at the rear. You see these two screws right here, which go through and are bolted to this strap of 1/8 inch by 1 inch aluminum that I made just to stabilize the top of the number plates so they don't flop around too much. Also, it makes a really convenient light handle for stabilizing the bike when I'm putting it on the track stand. The front number plate, I just drilled some holes through the stock turn signal mounts and zip tied it to the turn signal mounts, and then one at the top going to the old headlight mount. So now, this isn't specifically required by the rules. Motorcycle road racing is run rain or shine. And if you're going to ride in the rain, as I learned on the 25th of September, 2023, street tires kind of suck in the rain. After my wipeout at Thompson, I decided I would just get rain tires and mount them. And what I did was put them on some KTM RC390 wheels. The rear wheel is from a 2016 KTM RC390, and the front wheel is from a 2016 390 Duke. And they fit perfectly, and I will show you how. Alrighty then, so let's illustrate this. This is my 2016 KTM RC390 rim that obviously I've painted silver, and it uses exactly the same brake rotor and ABS sensor ring as the Vitpilen 401. The big difference is that the hub is narrower than the Vitpilen rim. So in order to make this wheel work with the Vitpilen, you have to swap the small Vitpilen bearing spacer for the longer RC390 bearing spacer. As you can see, they're two very different lengths. And that's because the narrow hub needs a longer sprocket carrier. Here is the sprocket carrier from the Vitpilen 401. Oops. And here is the sprocket carrier from the RC390. Vitpilen 401 sprocket carrier, RC390 sprocket carrier. If you swap in this sprocket carrier and the longer bearing spacer, it goes right into the bike, no problem. Just take the seal bushings out of the Vitpilen wheel, plop it into the sprocket carrier, into the bearing seal on the other side, and you're good to go. It slots right into the back of the bike. Let's get that front tire over here and I'll illustrate that. What I've got right here is a 2016 KTM Duke 390 front wheel. So this one mounted up even better than the other one did. No width issues. I set it in place. I poked the axle through. These are the wheel bushings from the Husqvarna Vitpilen 401 wheel. Everything went together nicely. Everything went in place. The main difference, two main differences, are that this disc brake rotor is 300 millimeters in diameter, and the Vitpilen 401 disc brake rotor is 320 millimeters in diameter. So we've got this 300 millimeter rotor right here, and it fits perfectly. And it turns out, you're gonna love this, it turns out that when KTM decided that they were going to increase the diameter of the rotor, they didn't want to engineer a new radial brake mount, and they didn't want to order a new caliper. Rather, what they did was they added a 10 millimeter aluminum spacer to the stack up between the caliper and the radial brake mount. Now, as you can see, I've got the spacer on this side. And that's because I've got the 300 millimeter rotor in there. And with the 300 millimeter rotor in place and the 10 millimeter spacers on this side of the caliper, the rotor and caliper mate perfectly. As you can see, boom. Everything spins just right, nothing interferes. It's really good. There is one other difference. That the sensor right there does not align with the cutouts in the sensor ring. So what I did, I have adapted a 2022 Vitpilen 401 ABS sensor ring. When I was changing out the wheels on the big race day, what I got to do is I got to torque the caliper bolts, and then I got to safety wire everything, then I can move on to the back wheel. And then bolt the whole thing back together and add the safety wire again, which added literally like an hour to the process of swapping it. So what I did to fix that, so I don't have to undo the caliper, is I bought a 2019 RC390 front wheel and a 2019 320 millimeter RC390 front brake rotor and a 2019 6¼ inch ABS sensor wheel, the same diameter as the Vitpilen sensor wheel. So this front rear end tire is going to get swapped from the 2016 wheel to the 2019 wheel, and then when I go to swap from my dries to my rains, I won't have to undo the brake caliper. I can just plop the wheel right in there. So if you're going to race a Vitpilen 401, you're going to need rain tires, and you're going to need those rain tires to be on a set of dedicated rims. And the easiest and most cost-effective way to do that is to buy a set of KTM RC390 or Duke 390 wheels. For the rear wheel, you can go 2016 all the way up to 2021. For the front wheel, you should go 2019 to 2021. So that's it. The Vitpilen is ready for the track. Now, in Robb's big race weekend, you will have seen that the belly pan got scorched, and I had to chop out a big piece of it at the front so that it wasn't getting burned by the catalytic converter on my Vitpilen. And in all honesty, I'm going to have to modify it some more because the absorptive material down on the bottom that is required by the USCRA rules melted. Suffice to say, I got to modify the bottom of that so that it's farther away from the exhaust pipe. And I have to adjust the valves, or I have to check the valve adjustment, because I've gone 2 seasons without looking at it. I'm going to do a whole separate video about that. Because once again, the Vitpilen is not going to make that easy. So with all of that in mind, once again, as I'm so fond of saying, which I guess I am so fond of saying that too, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you around the channel.
1, 2, 3, 4. Well, my daddy, he raced stock cars a long, long time ago at New England's fastest quarter mile, doing old Westboro Road. He and Mom would rally around in their MGTD, but they bought a Porsche 356 for you, my mom, and me. I was raised by gearheads, this apple fell not far from under Daddy's tillage, messing around with cars.